Welcome to the Addison podcast, where we talk about what it actually takes to hit your first six or multi-six figures in business. I'm Addison, certified clinical hypnotherapist and online business coach for entrepreneurs. And 3 years ago, I decided that nursing wasn't for me, dropped out of nursing school, and dove into the online space. From free hypnosis audios to unfiltered conversations and business advice, this is the space for you to take radical responsibility towards creating your dream business. Let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm super excited to bring in Amanda, who is one of my past clients and a friend, and she's going to talk today with us all about setting up your business for long-term time and financial freedom, and specifically with travel in mind for our digital nomad entrepreneurs that want to invite more travel into their business. Amanda is an online business manager of 3+ years. She has worked with a variety of CEOs in building out their back-end structure, planning launches, building their dream lifestyle. And while supporting her clients, she's been able to grow her income to consistent $4,000 to $5,000 months, travel full time, and build a team to support her business. So I'm super excited to bring her in today, not only selfishly so I get to chat with her and hear from her again, but also just so you guys can learn from her. So Amanda, welcome.
Yay. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to finally be joining this and be a part of your podcast. It's been fun to watch the process of it growing, and so I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yay, I'm so excited to have you here. So we're going to talk about, like I said, the importance of setting up your business for long-term time and financial freedom and how to do that through back-end tech and strategy. So I know that I have noticed with all of the different entrepreneurs that I've worked with, literally from like their first couple of clients to their first $100,000 months, you would think that there would be different like tech and strategy issues that they have, but I feel like it's kind of across the board. There are people making millions that still don't have systems and stuff in place. So I think, as we dive into this, for those people that are listening to this and maybe don't have any back-end strategy set up or don't have systems in place that are feeling a little bit overwhelmed by that aspect of their business, I would love to first talk about just like you as an OBM, what do you actually do and what do you feel like is the most important things for people to focus on when it comes to desiring more time and financial freedom and desiring maybe to travel?
Yeah, I love that because I think I'm always mind blown when people are doing so well and their business is really blowing up, and yet they are like doing it all manually. Like that is just so impressive. And I'm also like kind of like for them because I'm like, I know that that's so much work. So I always start with the very first thing, especially if it's something that you're doing on your own, is like find the biggest bottleneck, the biggest thing that is either like technically a bottleneck that's stopping sales or stopping like client experience, or a personal bottleneck where you just feel really annoyed or really resentful to a part of your business, and start there. So whether that's automating certain emails or automating a small repeating task that you have to do each week that annoys you, or if you want to go like all in and like really build out the business, if you're like, okay, I can manage the little things, but I need to build this business for sustainability, then go all the way to the beginning. And I always say start at like your in your product suite. So we'll start with the offers, make sure that those align with like your goals and your lifestyle, where you want to go, but then start at the very beginning from how you are presenting it to your audience. How does that look in the back end? Is that something that is really simple and to the point and easy for your client to get on board with? And then build from there, the onboarding, the workflows that go with that. But always go to the beginning, or the biggest red flag that's in your face that's stopping you from feeling really excited about your business, because that's going to get you like a quick win and get you excited again to kind of like do the rest of the work that comes along with it.
So you're basically saying like start at the beginning of your client journey, right? Like where a client's even starting. So would you say that you would start then, you said the product suite, right? So because the marketing can't even happen and like selling can't even happen if you don't have that in place. So what would you say with like offer suite and just that client journey is typically maybe some of the top bottlenecks. Like I know for me, when I first launched my group program, I was myself like a systems expert, but I didn't set things up for myself. So I was kind of manually onboarding, even though I had Dubsado. I was technically still kind of manually onboarding. I didn't create the automation because I just couldn't be bothered to do that for myself. So a bottleneck for me and that was like if I was on a flight and I was traveling or something, people couldn't be fully onboarded because I would have to go into Dubsado and hit approve, or I would have to, go in there and send out the invoice, or I would have to do something manually because that wasn't fully set up. So I know for me, I noticed the annoyance in like, I'm having to log in here to fully onboard people. And now I have a team
Mm-hmm.
that can do that, but everything's automated. So, what would you, outside of that, like that client journey onboarding, what are some of the top bottlenecks that you see either in Offer Suite or just like the beginning of the journey that really doesn't set people up for success?
Yeah, so I love that example too because I kind of see it in two different buckets maybe is the client experience and then the CEO experience. And though if we look at both of those and audit and assess how those are working from start to finish, red flags will start to appear, right? And so it's like that is part of the CEO experience, you having to log in, like that's stopping, but that also can be both because then the client is having to wait for whatever they need from you. So I think assessing the way that things are operating and applying that to your lifestyle goals. So if this is somebody who wants to be traveling full time, that is something that is important to take into consideration. So you want to be able to have the freedom and the alignment to your lifestyle and the things that you want to be doing and have your workflow and your processes match that. So I think anything that pops up that's like, oh, that's actually not allowing me to do this thing. Something else I like to really look at within the terms of the product suite itself is the flow of the product suite. I recently had a client who we set up her product suite in a funnel like dynamic, and so we made it really easy for people to get into her world and then upgrade to mid tier and then upgrade to her high ticket offer, and that is all now something that they can do on their own. And there's very minimal steps for her to have to jump in. But even then, it's like something that they can do completely. The back end runs it for them. So I think whenever you are assessing both of the client and CEO experience, again, those really intertwine a lot of the ways. Then it's like those things are going to pop out and be like, okay, this doesn't match my lifestyle goals. This doesn't allow me to do this thing. And that's why I also is every business is different. Everybody's going to be unique in their own way because everybody has different goals for their lifestyle. So there's really no one size fits all. It's going to be, okay, what goals do you have? And then what are you doing now that doesn't match those goals? And then how can we make it support those goals?
So it sounds like for someone that maybe wants to be a digital nomad or travel full time, like you have, it's starting with that lifestyle in mind and then going from there. So like if that's their goal, then their product suite shouldn't be only one-on-one coaching. If that's their goal,
Yeah.
then they also need to assess that like client journey and the onboarding system. Does it allow for them to be on a flight, a couple days out of the week or whatever, or just
Mm-hmm.
exploring like Greece without having to worry about like, am I onboarding a client? Do I need to log on? So both in the systems, but also like you said, the funnels and then the product suite too, does that allow for that spaciousness? So like those three key areas you would say are the biggest
Yeah.
bottlenecks.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's also ever changing because we're ever changing. So the business is going to be ever changing too. So I feel like that's also just a good thing to always come back to and just kind of be like, okay, my lifestyle is XYZ and now Z became B. Like something changed. So how can we assess the systems in the back end and maybe the time zone is different because you're traveling and so now you can only take calls during this time. And so assessing just the changes that are happening and what is true for your life and what's happening, and then how that can reflect in the business to support that.
Yeah, like even if someone goes from digital nomad to wanting to have kids, what's going to change in there? Like in the back end. I like the idea
Exactly.
that it's ever changing because I think there are people who think, oh, I'll just have someone set up my Dubsado and then I'll be good. But it's like you probably do need someone in the back end that's helping you tweak and make these changes so you don't have to see all of these bottlenecks yourself. Like you can say to you or to, someone else, like, okay, now I want to be able to travel full time. What do we need to assess in order to allow this to happen and to happen seamlessly without me burning out?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's such a interesting idea too, I think, because so many people do think that like you just get it set up and then you're good to go. But I feel like it's also not only are we changing, our life is changing, like even just from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, like there's a lot of shifts that are happening that are going to be reflected in your business. But even just launch to launch, like you launch something and then you see what works and what didn't work, and then we want to reassess that and make changes and improvements in the next launch. And that's going to also require the back end and the systems to also be updated to reflect that. So I like it's also my other one of my favorite things about being an OBM too is just that relationship that gets built because you're just going through the motions of life and business changes and upgrades and all of the things together, and then you can like update that as needed, and then you're really building not only the foundation of the business but then the relationship between you and your OBM or whoever it is. And that's kind of also ever changing, ever growing. And that's just like, it's like the beautiful circle of life.
Well, I think it also connects to the idea in business that if you're like staying the same, you're not growing. I think there's so many people,
Mm-hmm.
even through launches, that are like, well, this worked last time, why isn't it working? And I've even had that happen. And it's like because
Yeah,
you're doing the exact same thing and expecting different results. And sometimes that does work. Other times it's like buyer behaviors changed, buyer needs have changed, like the way that people
yeah,
are perceiving your brand. There's so much that goes into it. So it just hits home that like having people in our corner is so important.
totally.
So for like one of your clients, let's say, like as an example, that wants to travel full time, or, maybe is like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. Like I have so many clients right now. I want to be traveling more, but I feel like I don't have the time. Like I'm making the money, but I want to get to this point where I do have more spaciousness. Like, can you take us through kind of some of the things you would start with? I know business isn't one size fits all, but just give us an idea of like where you would start or what a sample like back end strategy, tech strategy would look like for them to take them to the place of traveling full time.
Yeah. It's funny because when I think of that question and just that idea of like, okay, what are the actual things that need to be implemented to make this happen? You think as an OBM or as like a business operations strategist, all those like clickbaity words, it's very like technical, but it really can come down to the most simplest um, switches, the simplest little changes that make the biggest difference in the business. So, yeah, so if my client was saying that, I'm really busy and I want to be able to have more freedom, I would first assess again the container, both inside their container that they are running their offer, but also the onboarding. So, how are people being onboarded? How can we make that process really simple and automated? And also, how are you running the container? And is it requiring so much of your time that you're not able to take time off? And so that can look like the simplest things that we can just implement. So in the onboarding, maybe it's having the contract be more templated in literally just the wording of the contract, be something that can be more applicable to every person. Have the workflow itself. Maybe right now they're doing a proposal and manual follow ups to see where the person is at with their decision, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we take that out and we make it a really personalized email that reaches out to them automatically and then is triggered based on their answer yes or no. So now the CEO doesn't have to be in there to check in with the client, and it's just being taken care of automatically without losing that personal touch between the coach and the client. And then if we want to look inside their offer, okay, let's say this person has multiple calls weekly with this group program and they are required to show up a lot in the container. They're posting every day, they're communicating, they're supporting all of the things. I would say, how can we batch create really personalized messages, really personalized topics or conversation starters in this group? So that way it's still coming from the coach or the CEO, and it's still really relational and personalized, but it's something that maybe can be scheduled, or it's something that somebody else can post, or it's something that's already run automatically. Like maybe it's like, okay, this week we're going to do this topic challenge or whatever it is. And so that way the group that the CEO is running knows what's happening, is getting that constant interaction, but the CEO can be removed away from the laptop doing all of the things. Maybe the calls, again, to the schedule thing, maybe all the calls are scheduled on a certain day of the week or a certain week of the month, every other week or something like that, that matches their schedule. So it really comes down to the little like day to day, like minute tasks that are being done that are really running the program in general, and seeing how we can just take one more thing off of the CEO's plate. So if you're scheduling a call, how can we maybe have that call be scheduled automatically, or have it be recurring so that the description is updated, because that takes maybe 10, 20 minutes of your time to schedule a call each week. And so just those little things that can really save a lot of time. And in the grand scheme of things, like if you add that all together, how many times you're doing that a week and a month, like that's a whole trip there that you could be completely logged off, but your clients are still getting that really unique and personalized experience.
Yeah, I like all of that. I think even for me, I'm doing that in my offers right now to allow more spaciousness because, like my program TBA, we recognize that some of the calls that we're doing with people could actually be trainings because I'm repeating the same thing
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again. And so instead of continuing the amount of calls that I'm doing, I'm creating more trainings and making the portal more comprehensive so people can go through that on their own time, but then get the personalized advice from me on like less calls. And so that's going to take out like hours and hours of my time every
Yeah.
single month because I was offering like monthly one-on-one strategy calls with the people. So if I have 13 people inside, each call is an hour and we're taking that out. It just like it frees up so much of my time. And then in addition to that, just to give people more examples, like I don't take calls on Mondays and Fridays to allow me to do like CEO tasks or appointments or other things like that I just need to do throughout the week, and even like create content and stuff. And then in addition to that, I like don't take more than 3 to 4 calls in a day. So my time is not like me constantly being on calls. And then I've even decided to go beyond that and not take as many one-on-one clients. So there's like tiny, like you said, things that you can tweak that will give you like hours and hours of time. Like you said with
Yeah.
TBA, that's basically a whole trip in a week, me not doing all those calls with people, but still supporting them and thinking like this is actually going to support them more because they get to do this on their own time and then come back to me once they've digested this information and then we get to tailor it to them. So I think that with this also factors in like the impact that you're able to create too. So I love all of that. Yeah, just overall I think it gets to be like these small like tweaks that can create massive change for them versus having to create a whole new product suite or having to like launch 10 passive offers or something like
Yeah.
that, right? So how would you say that marketing is involved in all of this, like when it comes to especially wanting freedom and time freedom? I know you talked a little bit about batching and stuff like that, but do you feel like your clients get a lot more time to market and sell when you've made some of these tweaks, or are you also helping them create systems to lessen their time that they even need to be on social media?
Yeah. I think that it always, marketing is funny, I think, because it really is a mirror to how you have everything set up. I think when you have the systems, when you have the really great offer and you have the nice funnel and everything flows naturally, marketing becomes so much easier. It's a lot easier to come up with content. It's easier to talk about your offers because everything is set up for you and is set up smoothly. So it's easy to talk about something that is nice and smooth and clean. Um, and it makes a lot more sense to your audience too. So I like looking at marketing after all of that is done, because then we can see, the fruits of our labor essentially and be like, okay, now you get to show up and you do get to have this time to sit and create content and share the things that we've created and share the wins from your program or whatever it is. The I for as far as processes for marketing, that's also fun because it's very unique to each business. So that kind of is really personalized in terms of like, okay, what aspect of marketing are you really good at or do you really enjoy? Is it making content? Is it words and copy, and or is it you talking in front of the camera? Like what feels best for you? And then we create a system usually that really fits that. So if I have a client who starts with like really long copy, then we'll be like, okay, let's start that in an email. We'll have a system in there that tracks each of the posts. So then it's easier for my client to hop in and be like, okay, this one was already created. I can make a post out of this now, or vice versa. If this was a post, let me expand to make an email. I love to repurpose everything. And so a lot of times, even just the posts that go out to Instagram will turn into not just like a sales email, but then a sales funnel. And so we'll have that to now sell a passive offer into its own funnel. So we're really utilizing things in each aspect of the marketing process. But I think, again, when it comes to the systems being set up really smoothly, it's a lot easier to show up and just share, oh, these are the things happening in the program. And you have that time and energy to share that because the people are in the program. You have 13 hours left or extra to share these things. And the process that we've created is really tailored to the way that you show up and the way that you enjoy creating content. So you can just hop in and see where you're at, see what content is up for this week. And I think that, I mean, I do this for myself too. And I feel like my brain, like, I like to be told what to do. And even though it's me telling myself because I'm creating the process, it's like I just go in and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I told myself that I'm going to be posting today. And so when I'm already in that energy and I know everything else is taken care of, then I can just go in, pour it all out, do what needs to be done, create the thing and put it out there. So I feel like it all really is like all the pieces work together to make it a really seamless experience. When you have the system set up, you have the systems for the program itself, the system for the marketing itself, and then you're being able to show up whenever it feels right, however it feels right. And that allows for the consistency because it matches, again, your lifestyle and the way that you operate in your business.
Yeah, I love all of that. And the repurposing thing is huge too, because I think a lot of people don't have time to do that. So having someone help you do that is so nice. And I think for
Yeah.
me, having an OBM, one of the biggest, like, I don't know, shifts that I've seen is that instead of just sitting on ideas, I actually have a plan and can actually execute them. So I'm taking things from like, just I'm ideating this or like thinking about it, or maybe this is something I want to create to like,
Yeah.
here's a plan. I need this and this and this from you by this date, and we're going to have it launched by this date. Right. So kind of switching gears. If people like feel like that with any of their offers, that frustration, as well as like even what I said, there's a lot of ideas, but it's not actually being executed. I know you have a couple of offers. You have your one-on-one strategy calls, and then you have a masterclass as well too that can support them. Do you want to talk a little bit about those offers? Because I know
Yeah.
there's people out there that are in that boat where they're like frustrated by pieces of their offers or their product suite or even their systems, want to travel more and want to bring more spaciousness into their business, but don't even know where to start. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is a great segue actually, because this aligns perfectly to having that balance. So the masterclass is called Balancing Business. And it is really all about finding these red flags in your experience and the client experience and figuring out, taking your ideal lifestyle and then your current lifestyle, so where you want to be and where you are now, and then assessing where your business is right now and how it is or is not supporting the future version of your life. And then we're picking out things in there that's like, okay, what are the little tasks? So we're going from big vision to how this is or isn't supporting your lifestyle to scaling it back and saying, what are the daily little tasks that we can update and improve to make that big shift to support the future lifestyle. And so that is, yeah, a free masterclass if you want to download that. And I'm basically talking you through each of those steps. So there's a few different steps that we go over to find those red flags and to assess your lifestyle and to maybe do some journaling and figure out like where, because I feel like a lot of the times too, you're also like, I want to get there, but I don't even know what to do. Like it's a lot
Mhm.
of thought and a lot of chaos. And so we're thinning that all out, we're combing it down, and we are figuring out what the red flags are and where you can start, what your first steps should be. And then the strategy call is kind of the same thing, but we're going a little bit deeper, and you're getting that one-on-one support. So we're going to audit your business and the really like specific processes that you have. So again, what are your goals? And then let's take a look inside. We're going to go look at your processes. We're going to look at your workflows, look at your offer suite, and see what those things are, and do that together, and then create a project plan. So when you're done, you'll have kind of that combed out overview of what you need to start with and how we can shift your business to meet those goals. And and then you can implement that over the next few months and start seeing those little shifts turn into big changes. So that is also really fun too.
Into 13 hours of your time that you get back,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Spend an hour talking about it and get 13 hours in return.
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay, great. And where can people find you if they are interested in either of these offers?
The best place is through my Instagram at it's Amanda.Nicole. And yeah, I have a form in there with links for each of those offers.
Cool. I love that. Well, reach out to Amanda if you are feeling like this. I don't know what I would do without my OBM, so I am always just like preaching hire an OBM. I think
Yeah.
you even have one, so
Yeah.
you are like not only preaching it, but you're embodying it, which leads me to my next couple of questions. We worked together in the mastermind for a couple different rounds, and I know like as the second round was ending was really when you were hiring your first OBM and just had shifted a lot. And you, I mean, in the mastermind did some incredible things outside of that, but it was really cool just to be in your corner through like traveling full time and living in the van and your trip to Guatemala, I think, right? That or Costa
Yeah.
Rica is one of the last couple ones that you did.
Hmm.
And then to see you hire your first OBM. I think that a lot of people that listen to my podcast have questions about like what actually happens in the mastermind. And you decided to resign. So we worked together for a full 12 months, which was so fun.
Hmm.
So can you just tell us a little bit about like, for someone that has no idea how a mastermind works, what really stood out to you with the process of being in there for 12 months?
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest points or like reasons that I wanted to resign was the community. I had watched the trainings. I had seen a lot of your trainings because I had worked with you forever. But re-signing, honestly, I think it was less about the trainings and it was more about the community. I felt so held and so cared for by this group of women who were working towards the same goals as me, and really felt like I could relate to them. And I also like felt, yeah, really cared for. Like I felt like these were my friends, like especially in this industry and especially being online, you don't always have that group of friends who gets it and who knows what you're going through and also like supports it and knows like this is just a struggle and like you're gonna get over it and you're gonna do the thing. A lot of people don't even get what we're doing. So it's really comforting to have that community. But I do have to say, the biggest thing that I'm honestly still mind blown about is the amount of like deep inner work support that I got from you. I remember specifically, I was in, I think it was Thailand, and it was like 2 a.m. and I was joining a call because that was the time difference. And we started doing the timeline thing. I don't know the name for it, but you
Yeah,
were
it's
taking me
a
back.
for the people that don't know, it's a neurolinguistic programming technique that is also like a subconscious thing. So we're able to shift subconscious past stories and emotions and stuff that you have in the moment in like 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I just remember sitting there on the couch, it's like dark, and I was like, or on the bed, and I was like going through this thing, and I forget what my like issue was that I brought up, but I felt like it was something like, I was holding myself back. Like I can't, like, I know what I want, but I'm like stopping myself from getting there. And whatever you took me through, I was like I had like this vision and I was meeting my younger self and all these things. And I was like, I have been in therapy. Like regular talk therapy. I have been like doing the inner work. I'm doing air quotes if you're just listening. And I've been, I've done these things, but that was like next level. That felt like you're actually doing something. I feel like a lot of the times I am super guilty of this. I, again, do the inner work and I'm healing, but it's more like I'm doing it to do it. And I've never fully seen the change, the shift from it. That felt like it was really effective. And that wasn't just that time. That was like a consistency. We did that often. And so it felt like I was actually making progress on not only healing my inner child, but then being able to integrate that into business. And even just like as an adult, like in life, like that, it was bigger than the business. It was healing different parts of me to show up as a better person and as a better partner and friend and all these things, which of course then integrated into business, and I could show up as a better business owner. So I think that was something that I was like, I did not expect to get this level of like real support and shift in my mindset and like literal like DNA. It felt like what's
Like your
integrated into
identity.
my, yeah. So that those like community touches from you, the support from the community itself, those really kept me there and made me resign, because that felt like an integral part of me growing my business and getting to that next level in my business to be able to really reach the goals that I had that were bigger than just I'm running my business and that's a win, but like what's next for that.
Yeah, I love that because I always say that your business cannot outgrow your mindset or your identity. So those pieces are so important. And when we were creating the sales page for the mastermind, something that we said is we have like a triple threat call situation. I can't remember exactly what we said, something about triple threat, because we have like guest experts that come in, the strategy calls, and then also like those deep mindset work calls. And not many masterminds do that. It's all about the strategy. It's all about doing. It's all about like, okay, what more can I do? What more action can I take? How can I show up more? How can I tweak my messaging? And we forget to like pause and address the emotions, the negative emotions, or the, things like you said, you mentioned, we can't remember exactly what we were working through in that moment. I don't remember. I wish I did. I could probably find the notes.
I know.
But in that moment, there was something where you could physically feel like, is there a block that's preventing me from moving forward? And oftentimes we push through that with action versus like, and kind of putting a band-aid over it versus looking at
Yeah.
it, addressing it, moving through it actually at a subconscious level or an identity level so that you can move forward and like create the sustainable business that you want and the time and financial freedom in the long term. So I love all of that. Yeah, overall, just thank you for coming and thank you for sharing that. I feel like the community piece is the biggest thing for most people that are joining a mastermind. Like, I mean, I've even had like my family and friends are like, I don't know what you do. So it's nice to just be around women. And I'm in a couple like mastermind spaces right now, and just like I don't feel lonely because of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the I don't know, selling point for a lot of people in a mastermind is like getting that close, tight-knit community. So
Yeah.
overall, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and sharing all of this. And people know how to reach out to you and find you and download the freebies and work
Yeah.
with you. So I'm excited to launch this and to just have people clean up their back end systems.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been fun. I'm excited. I obviously can talk about this forever, so it's fun to talk about it with you, you had a big part of me getting here. So I'm just appreciative to be able to chat with you.
Yay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Talk to you later.